Today I am going over the 2024 electoral map between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris and using all the current polling data averages as of August 9th, Friday, August 9th, 2024, courtesy of the website realclearpolitics.com. I'm getting all my data from there. And I'm applying the current polling averages to the electoral map right now to find out who is currently leading according to the polls. This is not my own personal prediction. This is just what the polls are showing right now. Who is leading between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris? So the first state, getting right into it, I'm going to get out of the way. Actually, before I do that, Nebraska's 2nd district, there has not been any polling data yet for this district. There was for Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, and it showed to be a very close back and forth race. Trump won it in 2016, Biden won it in 2020. How Trump versus Harris goes in 2024, that remains to be seen. For now, I'm going to go off on an educated guess and say it goes lean for Donald Trump. This is a flip from how I previously had it of Trump versus Biden. I actually had Biden narrowly winning it, but that's something we're going to have to keep an eye out for if any polls come out. So with that said, every state right now that is colored in red or blue are states I consider to be safe for Trump and Harris, respectively. The states in gray are the states where I think it gets a little bit closer in varying degrees between Trump versus Harris. For example, the first state of Florida and its 30 electoral votes. The current polling average in Florida has Donald Trump at 49%, Kamala Harris at 40.5%, which gives Trump a margin of victory in that poll by 8.5 percentage points, which, according to my rankings, that's Georgia. According to my rankings, that puts the state of Florida in the likely Trump column. I have likely as 5% to 15%, lean as 5% or under, and safe as 15% or over. So every state in solid red right now, I think will go for Trump by over 15 points, and the same for Kamala Harris, but in blue. So Florida and its 30 electoral votes right now is an 8.5% lead in the polls, which would put it in likely Trump. The state of Ohio, Donald Trump has 51.5%, Kamala Harris is 40%, which gives Trump an 11.5% lead, and that would be enough for me to put the state of Ohio in the likely Donald Trump margin. Next we go to Minnesota, the home state of Kamala Harris's running mate Tim Walz. In this polling average right now, Kamala Harris is 51% of the vote. Donald Trump is 43% of the vote. This gives Harris a margin lead of 8%, which would be enough to put Minnesota in the likely Democratic column. Next, we go to the state of Nevada and its 6 electoral votes. Nevada currently has Donald Trump at 47.5% of the vote, Kamala Harris 43.5%, with a margin of 4% lead for Trump. This is the first state I'm characterizing as lean Trump, a state that will definitely be a very close swing state, a lot of undecided vote left, according to the polling average. Definitely one to keep an eye out for. So Donald Trump is at 226, Kamala Harris is at 208. Next, we're going to go to the state of Arizona, right next door to Nevada. Donald Trump has 48.3%, and the RCP average in the state of Arizona. Kamala Harris is 45.5%, which is a margin of victory for Trump of 2.8%, enough to put Arizona as lean Donald Trump at this time, 237 now for Trump. Next, we move to the state of Georgia, a state that has tightened very, very much in the last few weeks, since Biden dropped out of the race and Kamala Harris became the presumptive Democratic nominee. In the state of Georgia, Donald Trump holds a 47.8% polling average. Kamala Harris is 47.2% polling average with a margin of 0.6%. Now, in the tilt rating, I would give it a tilt Trump, but I remove the tilt rating and I just go with lean. So in the closest possible way, this is lean for Donald Trump, but much more likely to be in the tilt column. But very, very close to Georgia at this time. Still 47.8, 47.2, lots of undecided vote there as well in the polling average. So that is the state of Georgia. Next, we move to the state of North Carolina, where Donald Trump has 48% of the vote in the polling margin. Kamala Harris is 45%. That is a margin of 3%, enough to put North Carolina in the lean Republican column for Donald Trump. And as you can see right now, Donald Trump has 269 electoral votes. Kamala Harris has 208. Things are getting very, very close for Donald Trump winning this election based on the polling averages. But hold that thought. In the state of Virginia, a state that Donald Trump was hoping to contest and under a Trump versus Biden matchup looked like he might be able to. In this, there's only been one poll conducted, and of the polling average has Harris at 49%, Trump at 44%, and a margin of 5%, which is right on the border between lean and likely. I'm going to err on the side of caution and put it in lean Harris for now just because it is 5% exactly, but Virginia goes in the lean column for Kamala Harris, 221 to 269 in favor for Donald Trump. Next, we move up to New England for New Hampshire. So far, the only real toss-up state in New England. And right now in the polls has Kamala Harris at 51%, Donald Trump at 45.3%, with a margin of victory of 5.7%, just enough to put New Hampshire in the likely Kamala Harris column. That gets Harris up to 225, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance at 269. So that is the state of New Hampshire. Now we move to the state of Michigan. Michigan, this is one where Trump has been leading here for quite some time. Harris, since joining the race, things have flipped a little bit. And now, due to a certain Bloomberg poll, which has Harris up by 11 points, again, I'm just going off of what the numbers say here. I'm not putting my own interpretation on it, because I certainly do not believe Harris is winning Michigan by 11 points, but the numbers are in that poll. And in it now, Harris leads Trump 48.3 to 46.3 in the state of Michigan. A 2-point lead for Harris. Michigan's 15 electoral votes go lean for Harris at this time. Again, don't blame the messenger. That's just what the polling average says. That's not my own personal interpretation of that. So now there are two remaining toss-up states left. The state of Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes and the state of Pennsylvania and its 19 electoral votes. Two states, Biden won in 2020 and Trump won in 2016. And this is how incredibly close this election is going to be. The state of Wisconsin, Donald Trump has led here for a while. According to the polling averages right now, Donald Trump has 48.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 48.8% of the vote, has taken a 0.5% lead over Donald Trump in the RCP polling average for the state of Wisconsin. That puts Wisconsin in the lean Harris column at 250 electoral votes. And now the election comes down to the state of Pennsylvania and its 19 electoral votes. According to these polling margins, if they remain true, the entire election would come down to the state of Pennsylvania, which is why I was so, just heavily hammering home the point of why I thought Shapiro would have been a better VP choice for Harris over Walz. Him being from the state may have been able to guarantee her Pennsylvania. However, the polls right now do not suggest that. Donald Trump has 48.4% of the vote, 48.4%. Kamala Harris is 46.6%, a margin of 1.8% lead, which gives Pennsylvania to Donald Trump in the lean Trump column. According to the RCP average of states at this time, Donald Trump gets 288 electoral votes, Kamala Harris with 250. So it's very interesting looking at this now from the last time I did this map. And, some things have definitely changed. Wisconsin and Michigan have both now flipped to Harris, and the margins of victory in a lot of these states have got much closer. But even though it seems like there's a lot of panic on the Trump campaign, the Trump side right now, the Republican side, and that Kamala Harris is surging in the polls, state by state, at least in the polling averages right now, Donald Trump is still narrowly favored to win the election. So it certainly seems like Harris has the momentum, and Harris is definitely getting closer to potentially maybe flipping this in a future video, but at least right now, it's very important to say Donald Trump is still favored when you go state by state, swing state by swing state, especially if Pennsylvania holds true and Georgia holds true. Donald Trump has the advantage in the presidential election, which is why I made a video a few days ago saying why I still think Donald Trump is favored to win, because I said Donald Trump can lose Wisconsin and Michigan and still win the presidential election if he can hold on to Pennsylvania and Georgia. And just to show you in this video as well, if Harris were to win Nevada and its 6 electoral votes, and Arizona and its 11 electoral votes, Donald Trump would still win just by winning Pennsylvania and Georgia and holding every other state he won last time against Biden. So I can't stress enough how important Pennsylvania and Georgia is, which is objectively looking why I wanted Harris, if she actually, I thought, wanted to win to pick Shapiro because that would have been the best chance of her winning that state. I don't believe now Walz will do a good enough job to win Pennsylvania that Shapiro would have done being the governor of that state. And I very well think that decision may end up costing her a potential presidency. And, of course, that brings good news for Trump. I think Trump has to be ecstatic that Shapiro was not chosen as Harris's running mate. And now I think he's a very good shot at winning the state of Pennsylvania. So, that'll do it for today's video. 288 for Donald Trump, 250 for Kamala Harris. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like this video, leave a comment below telling me what you thought of it, and remember to hit subscribe so you get notified when I make future videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.